Hello guys, welcome back to Tweedle Time. My name's Andrew. I'm the host.
Co-host James over here.
And returning special guest.
Nathan. Hi, I'm here.
Now, as you can see, we all had our equal share of the intro. Because
Yeah.
today we're covering communism.
I'm also kind of hungry.
Yeah, that sounds like a personal problem.
Sounds about right for the topic.
Die.
You can't die of starvation during this video. It's not allowed. You can die afterwards.
Oh, I
Because everyone would notice that.
Good point, good point.
Yeah. Anyways, yes, we're covering the topic of communism because modern day, it's kind of hard. Some people end up getting the definition wrong.
Yeah, no, they goof it up. And
So, we kind of thought, why not just give people a nice clarification if they need it?
yeah.
So as I'm mildly knowledgeable on the topic.
You are an expert on the topic, Andrew.
Andrew over
For
here.
a while, everyone had believed you were a communist.
I don't think I've actually been seriously accused of being a communist.
Really? Seriously?
You've been.
No, I don't think I actually haven't been. I think
You've been half jokingly accused of being a communist.
To be fair, a lot of the time was just me wearing red.
Yeah, it's
I
just like
mean,
a solid red
yeah.
T-shirt over here, and it's like
Solid red T-shirt joking about communism.
Okay,
Suspicious, I'd say.
let's actually get into the actual topic
I do
itself.
have.
So the term itself was coined by a certain, you may have heard of him, Karl Marx.
Karl Marx was
Who?
an individual.
Basically, there was this guy that was born in Germany and then decided to move to London.
Has a great beard.
Oh yeah, the beard
Oh,
though.
yes, the beard
Excellent
on
beard.
him.
Yes.
I mean, most communist leaders tend to have pretty good facial hair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
But basically, this guy's like, dude, what if we didn't make the workers work so hard
The
And-
workers unite.
and actually give them, like, stuff? And then everyone else is like, dude, what are you going on about?
This is in the midst of the Industrial Revolution and whatnot, so everyone's working in factories and stuff now.
Conditions, especially at this time, weren't great in the
Yeah.
slightest.
They were
Yeah.
crap because no one had like any kind of rights working in those factories.
Of course not. People
Yeah.
were dying left and right.
Not quite left and right, but it was the people.
Well,
They definitely
people
people
would
definitely
die.
did die in the
Oh, yeah.
factories.
The
Lose a
conditions were
limb.
crap.
Yep. Pay wasn't really
pay.
great.
Pay was awful.
Long hours.
No dental plan.
Yeah. it
Oh
was-
yeah, it's, so awful.
Exactly.
There, yeah.
You hear that?
I mean, I just can't work
Lose
there.
an arm, you lose an arm, but you're worrying about your dental plan over here.
I don't.
Yeah.
How am I doing about my teeth?
Yeah, dude. Without your teeth, you got.
Anyways, the
nothing.
actual relevance of Marx. There's this guy called Friedrich Engels. Honestly, not many people even talk about him because honestly, he's important in a sense, but also not.
He's
No
not
one
that
really
important.
cared.
Basically,
You're just-
Marx
you're just
decided coined the terms communism and socialism. Socialism, we may do videos. I don't know if we're doing it with.
Isn't it kind of the same thing?
No,
I
there is
think
there
it's-
is
there's
some differences
differences.
which we might consider covering with capitalism just for the fun of it. I don't know, or maybe each separate. I don't know. We'll figure where that goes, but that's something entirely different. Well, not entirely different. There's quite a few similarities, but we're not talking about it right
There
now.
are quite a few similarities. That's why I thought it was the same thing.
Not quite the same thing.
Oh,
I'll explain it to you in later.
That's why there's two different terms.
oh, baloney.
But basically, Friedrich Engels is this guy. Basically, his father was a pretty good merchant, owned like a cotton plant. Pretty kind of rich guy, and then unfortunately, despite Engels deciding to, we want communism, used all of that wealth to just basically fund Marx's research in the writing of the Communist Manifesto.
What kind of research would you be doing in that?
Looking through old books, statistics,
this
maybe.
corn looks excellent. I should.
Well,
give
yeah,
this-
basically, while Marx was writing all of his things, Frederick was like, I got you, fam.
Take my money.
And yeah, then they're writing this book that you may have heard called the Communist Manifesto.
Excellent
I don't know.
read.
What do you mean, excellent read?
Not even close.
It's actually not that long
It's
of a
not
read.
even that
Long of a read.
Yeah,
So if
it's
any of
not
you
that-
guys actually
Like
care
a pocketbook.
about the topic,
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a bad idea to start.
But
but-
like, don't go flashing it around or anything.
And also, don't turn communist after
No,
reading
that would
it.
that would not be good.
Because
It never works.
Why not?
It doesn't.
When
It
is
doesn't work.
Nothing can go wrong.
Oh no, it all went wrong.
But yeah, just to tell you right now, basically the Communist Manifesto laid out a few key points. Now there's a few key points in there which actually seem reasonable, like free education.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's not bad.
But basically, the best way I can summarize it is that Marx saw capitalism in two different lights. One as an evil oppressor of the worker, the other as a sense of hope. Because there was just, at this point, we actually in a state of overabundance instead of underabundance. Like every other time in history.
Yeah.
Seeing that you can make things less efficient and better for the workers and still produce enough for everyone to have everything.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, was idea.
That seems like a bad idea. I'd prefer to have the
Yeah.
overabundance every time instead of like
Overabundance.
lowering it until
But-
it's even.
Mm-hmm.
Just to say-
definitely sure. Because what if you miss?
If something happens,
If something happens, you're like to one production facility, you'll
then-
be way under.
Yeah, you'd
That
go
doesn't-
under.
You go under.
But
Then you'd be
yeah,
screwed.
However, if you're constantly producing in abundance, if it's something like an essential, like food or stuff like
Yeah.
that, if it's an essential, then you won't die
If
Wait.
if
something
something
goes wrong.
goes wrong.
but yeah, basically that's Marx's idea.
Well, you know what? Marx is an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways,
Nice.
what was
Spit
I,
on
what was
his
I gonna
grave.
say? Actually, you have to pay to go to his grave.
Do you think I'd get in trouble if I spit on his grave?
Probably.
Ah!
You little interesting individual. Thank you for making me have to censor that. You
That's not gonna,
amazing
that'll be
person.
Fine, it was too bad.
Ah!
No, I'm supposed to censor that. Anyways, besides,
Whatever.
where was I with
Sucks.
Karl Marx?
He wrote the Communist Manifesto.
Yeah, he definitely did that. Basically, another thing he brought up is that this idea that the worker himself can only. There's actually history has been set up in two classes for the entirety of society. We're basically the oppressed and the oppressor, in the sense of first we started off with a system of slavery, the slave master and the slave. Then later we'd see feudalism with the king and then peasants. And then we'd eventually see what we see nowadays, which is the capitalist and the proletariat, also known as the worker. Now, Karl Marx didn't see the capitalist as inherently evil, but he did see it as obviously exploiting the worker and sought to basically destroy the privilege that they enjoyed. And basically they switched the class systems around and then went into this form called socialism, and then changed that into something called communism, where there's no state and everyone's happy and we reach an utopia.
Are you sure there's no state in this communism?
That is the end goal.
That is
anyways.
the
end goal
goal.
was having no state.
Yes.
And then
Unfortunately,
they just never reached that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was about to get to some examples in history, but I'm just saying what Karl Marx's theories are.
His theories didn't work. So he's an idiot.
So that was like that whole
Spit on
thing.
his grave again.
And then one of there's a few famous quotes on communism you might want to be aware of. The workers have nothing to lose but their chains. And another important one, to each their own.
And their food.
yeah, of course,
Dang
they have
it.
nothing to lose but their change.
All
because they're
accord-
all out of food.
Everyone gives what they can and all take what they need, or all one needs. Basically, this kind of idea is a very much considered communist idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it sounds communist to me.
Well, it's kind of more or less the basis of communism.
The basis of communism is everybody produces. Everybody.
Basically,
takes,
everyone has a choice to do whatever they want, any type of work. They can do what they want.
But it's fundamentally flawed
Yep.
in more than one way.
Yep.
Well, yeah,
It'll
that's how
collapse.
that happened.
It collapses all.
We're gonna wait on those examples. We still have a
No,
little
it
bit of time.
doesn't just collapse because then the leaders don't let it collapse.
Oh yeah. They just
Okay,
start about
so
the
now
sentence.
we should get into the next big thing, step in communism. Now, first one, this is a quick side note. Technically, the first country to ever try to establish itself as a communist nation was Communist China. But then again, it didn't actually seize power until after World War II, so it doesn't
Are
count.
you sure that wasn't?
It existed for a while.
No. Communist Russia was the first one.
It was the first actual state. The other one was just a really planned revolt.
A really well planned
Revolt that actually actually started before the Tsarist Russia, so it collapsed. But it just didn't actually get a foothold in China until actually that point. It's just one of those weird technicality things. But yeah,
nice.
next thing we'd see World War One happened, and a bunch of people were like, "Don't do it," and Tsar's like,
Don't do
"Let's
it."
do it anyways."
Yes.
And then they went to war, and like 4 million people died, and they're like, What if we didn't have war? And then a bunch of people were like, okay, and Tsar stepped down. And then there was a bunch of not communists like, can you guys like chill? And the communists were like, how
Can you just,
about
like,
no you? And then it's like,
chill
okay, that's it. And then they went in their civil war. And like everyone else was like, screw the communists, give up and take my money. And unfortunately, that didn't work.
Nope.
Yep.
It was the whites versus the reds, and unfortunately, the whites didn't win.
The Reds
Oh.
then won.
It's
And
because the
Weren't the
U.S. was an
whites
idiot
come-
and backed the reds.
Why did we back the Reds?
Because we were really dumb.
Oh, okay.
We have
I don't remember.
helped both of the major communist
white-
parties in their formation.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. I didn't actually know about that.
so,
That's
what
interesting.
was another thing I need to say?
Wasn't the whites a conglomeration of
Like,
Great
I'm-
Britain and France?
They are all supporting, but at the same time, it's important to also note that the whites were also kind of fighting amongst themselves in a sense.
Oh,
Because there wasn't really a big sense of unity.
Well, yeah, because some of them didn't like the Tsar, and some of them, but didn't want communism, and some of them liked the Tsar.
And some other ones just didn't agree with the other one's systems.
Yeah, and so that was a whole cluster.
And then we'd see some guy you may have heard of, Vladimir Lenin, take charge.
Like,
Okay. Anyways, Lenin was basically the thought of this, because Karl Marx stated in his Communist Manifesto that communism would take place in the first world after seeing industrialization. Russia was not this.
No.
No, not even close. So
No.
Lenin thought we need to change this slightly. That way we can make it fit this for a nice, not industrial nation.
sounds like the Bible. We'll just change it a little to fit what we want. They can't read anyway.
That was the last.
Yes, the Middle Ages. Anyway.
Yes, the Catholic Church.
Anyways, where was I? Oh, yeah.
So much fun there.
So basically, Lenin thought of this idea of the proletariat dictatorship, where
very
basically
different.
the work where the government takes control for the workers, right, for the benefit of the workers.
Yeah, we gotta make sure we're all for those workers, right?
Yeah, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
actually, take it back. They first did try democracy, and then they only got like 30% of the vote, and then they're like, "Screw you guys! No more democracy." Okay, one more time. You got slightly more votes. Didn't work still. Nope, no more democracy. You guys don't. You guys lost your democracy privilege.
No,
It wouldn't have been a
If we don't have the
democracy
majority,
anyway.
it doesn't work. Whoosh.
Yeah, despite their name being called the Bolsheviks, which means the minority party,
No, majority.
minority party.
No, it means the majority.
Yeah, they're
That's
just
the irony.
yeah. They didn't get the
I
vote.
yell at you and your incorrectness.
Anyways, back to communism.
Intense stare down.
That was quite interesting.
Anyways, where was I?
Yes.
Communism. Oh yeah, Lenin and his things. But yeah, he basically founded his own branch of communism. Basically, most of communism is under this thing called Marxism. Marxism is basically taking all the ideas of Marx and applying it to a communist society.
Yes, but
Then Lenin's like, we need to fix some things inside. And then they're like, there we go. Now we have Marxist-Leninism.
Oh, great. We have.
let's just keep adding names to it until it makes sense.
Marxist-Leninist,
Until it
Maoism,
works.
Titoism,
It works, yes.
Deism. Just keeps adding on.
Just
I
need
can
to
go on
keep
for a
adding
while.
Stuff.
Anyways,
Maybe it'll work eventually.
That's a
okay.
good joke.
We need more names.
Yes. So back to Marxist-Leninism. Like I said, the idea of the proletariat dictatorship was a big one because that's what the Soviet Union was. It was a very much dictatorship.
Yes.
And Lenin, near the end of his life, actually said, we need little bits of capitalism to stimulate the economy.
What?
Because it
No.
seems to not be, markets seem to not be very competitive, and things aren't going that great. But don't worry, guys, this is only temporary. And then he decided,
stable.
to just die.
He just died.
And then he
Well,
died.
not really.
He
He
just
actually
don't wanna
he had a
die
stroke.
now.
Then he couldn't really speak, so he ended up writing a whole address, basically stating his ideas for the Soviet Union as well. And how I think people don't put Stalin in
That's
charge.
kind of
Yeah,
ambitious.
basically his whole thing was
Literally,
telling
just
him
don't
what to
put
do.
Stalin in charge.
just tell him what to do a little after, and don't put Stalin in charge. Put Trotsky in charge, who was the other guy who was big in
I
the
don't think he actually
party.
stated to put Trotsky in
No, he
charge,
did
but
put he
yeah.
did say that.
Well, yeah,
There were
basically,
two people to pick from,
yeah,
Stalin
no.
and Trotsky.
Yeah, more or less.
I'm pretty sure that he said Trotsky, and do not put Stalin in. I
I know
swear to
definitely-
God, I will come back from the dead.
which he didn't.
Nope, then he didn't.
Nope, he's still dead.
So basically, there's two different ideologies here, which are branches of communism that pop up.
By the by, if you want to visit Lenin, you can. He's preserved in Moscow.
Oh, okay.
So you can go and look at his corpse.
How gruesome.
Must crush capitalism.
That one Simpsons scene was
Yeah.
awesome.
Where was I? Oh, yeah. There's two choices. No, they each had their branch named after communism, named after himself. Stalin and Trotsky. Trotskyism basically had the idea of permanent revolution.
Yeah.
Basically, he wanted to support communism movements everywhere. So basically what happened during the Cold War.
Yes.
And Stalin's like, no, we must perfect communism in our own country, and their communism under one country.
Oh, okay. Jeez.
The perfection.
And then you'd see Stalin do,
communism.
No.
Yes.
Stalin may have caused the death of potentially 20 million people, but hey, he's still a good guy.
Yes.
Oh,
Hey, we can overlook that.
yeah.
Of course. Especially
Yeah,
when
nice.
I mean, those are rookie numbers when we compare them to Mao.
yes.
Oh, don't worry. Guess who's next?
Oh, it's gonna be Mao.
Yep, Mao. Chairman Mao, the leader of communist China.
I have no idea what that is.
How do you have no idea what that is? You took world
I
history.
don't think
Okay.
I ever learned about Mao.
You know what? Best way.
This heresy.
So, there's a new branch of communism called Maoism.
This is in China.
Yeah.
Okay.
China.
This is in China.
Mao was the leader of the Communist Party during the revolution that put the Communist Party in charge, and then he just kind of stayed in charge till he was dead.
No, he stepped down temporarily, and then he's...
Oh yeah, towards the very end he stepped down, and then he was dead.
No, and then he didn't like what the successor was doing, and then he went back and caused a cultural revolution, and then he was dead.
Murdered thousands. Yes.
No, millions.
Millions.
He is 70 million is his death.
Oh, 70 million?
Yeah.
That's quite intense. Yeah.
That's Mao's doing his thing.
Is that an estimate?
Just a few.
Yeah, I could always be greater, or could I'm not for certain because you never fully know.
we say a
See, the
number-
problem is we fully don't know because we don't really exactly have a full insight of communist China, do we?
Oh, excellent.
Whenever we say a number, it's always an estimate,
Because we can't
unless
be sure.
it's a very recent statistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways,
And even then.
back on topic.
Yeah.
So basically, Mao had a few ideas. Number one, basically a cultural revolution. This one was basically destroy all of old history and replace it with me, because there was no way they can do anything else.
Yes.
In a sense, honestly, that's basically what it was.
We're gonna rewrite the history textbooks to be me.
It's like advanced brainwashing,
Yeah,
indoctrination.
because basically,
Well, it has.
On some people, yes.
No. Basically, everyone in China loves Mao.
Why?
Because that's
they
all
have
they
to.
know.
They have to.
Also, yeah, they have to. There's a secret police that will kill them if they start talking.
Oh.
I think Mao's not the greatest person ever.
And so if you never hear any dissent, you never think that he's bad. And
That
so
is true.
everyone just thinks he's
Also,
awesome.
he's also on all the money.
And all the posters.
Yeah.
And all the
This is-
everything.
What about?
Still
Hey, you talk about a
alive,
picture
yeah,
of.
is he?
No, he's dead.
Just imagine a Drake format of putting up a picture of Jesus, putting a picture of Mao up.
Yes.
That's basically what they were like.
Okay. How interesting.
No, Mao. Or no Jesus. Mao.
Oh, Mao.
Thou shalt have no gods except for Mao, Chairman Mao.
Yes.
Basically that's basically what you're gonna see there.
All the paintings were Mao as well.
But yeah, since we have already 18 minutes, and there's quite a lot of communism to cover, surprisingly.
Yeah,
Why
there's
is there so much communism?
Because a lot of people thought it was a good idea and tried it. Okay, and,
a lot of people tried it.
and then Eastern Europe was kind of forced to try it.
And now there are
Many branches. I technically there's even a
If it
few.
fails 15 times in a row.
There's more branches than this.
no nations left that are communist.
There's 5 actually. And you can kind of argue Venezuela, even though they technically never claimed to be communist.
I was counting Venezuela there.
Oh, you're freaking lost. You lost Vietnam, Cuba, China,
shoot,
and
I
North
was forgetting
Korea.
Vietnam.
Cuba.
Yeah, Cuba's still communist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I wasn't aware of this.
That's
Yeah,
another branch of
kinda
communism
thought
when you
about
get to Castroism, but we
Yeah.
still have to get through Maoism, because that's kind of because of the big ones.
Castro, you don't need to name it after yourself. Just pick another one. And go
Just
with
add
that.
your name to the list.
Yeah.
Marxism.
Yeah, you know, Marxism, Leninism, Maoism, Castroism.
Yeah, there you go.
Lovely.
Anyways, that's a joke. It's not that the branch is called.
No,
Moving on, Maoism. Basically, another big thing about it was this idea. Basically, the third world is the only part of the world that's likely to revolt to communism. The developed world, just because of how prosperous, even under the oppression of the bourgeoisie, they could still develop and not care enough to revolt. Was this idea that Mao had?
but that doesn't work.
Also, this idea basically permanent revolution and permanent struggle. Basically, where if everything exists in opposites, and basically when one is happy, the other one's not. So basically, there's always a constant struggle between the bourgeoisie and the proletariat, and you always got to keep the government there, basically prevent it from ever becoming an issue. Heck, actually, it's more like I take it back. It's more like the party, not even the government, because in a sense, you're allowed to criticize the government, but then you're not really, because the government is basically the Communist Party.
Yep.
So yeah.
That is basically what it is.
So yeah, fun fact: the People's Liberation Army, also known as China's Army, actually isn't China's army; it's the party's army. They show loyalty to the party first.
That's not good.
No, it is not.
That's fun. We're at 20 minutes. Oh great, let's get. I need to move on.
We can always extend a little bit.
Okay. What are we at? So after Maoism, which is a really big one, we'd see a few other branches of communism happen, such as in Cuba, we have Castroism, where basically, actually, no, take it back. Actually, for our Maoism, we should talk about what's the name? I hate myself now. Basically, the successors of Mao. I'll think of it in a minute. If not, I'm definitely gonna put the name down. I'm sorry for not remembering it. There's way too many branches of communism. Okay.
Disappointing, Andrew.
There's much.
Heck, there's even a Christian branch of communism, for crying out loud, despite being swornly atheist. Yes, there's also an Islamic version. Why is there one? I don't know.
Because the Christians and the Muslims and the Christians decided that they wanted in on that.
Basically, it's an idea that basically Jesus was a Marxist, which is... I don't know.
Yes. Jesus was a Marxist.
I was just like...
I don't think that's how it works.
Yes, just me not.
Yep, nope, now Jesus is a Marxist.
Anyways, back as this, basically the idea was, undersuccessor to Mao was,
because everyone
what
got
if...
conflicting stories.
Yes.
What if...
How are we supposed to figure out anything?
Wait, this isn't about religion. Okay.
No, let's get off topic. We can't do that. That's way too controversial for the moment.
Yeah, alright.
Yeah.
Okay, anyways, really important point. So basically, successor to Mao was like, what if we do capitalism to support communism in the future?
Whoa.
And they're saying, yeah, I swear, unfortunately, workers will end up being oppressed by the bourgeoisie. But this is what we need to happen until we get the world to be communist themselves. And then basically everyone clapped because they don't get to starve anymore.
Yeah, look at that.
And
Not
now,
starving.
The majority of China isn't starving.
No, a large portion is still starving.
Oh,
it's still a lot of.
I guess
just
I was
kidding.
wrong.
Okay. I don't know if it's actually the majority. Conditions still suck. I was gonna say conditions still aren't great in China, especially for the poor.
No.
Because communism never.
Of people.
Yeah, we're not gonna talk about that right now. Don't worry, China's it will get its own video eventually.
I don't like China very much anymore.
Anyways, moving on to.
Ancient China was cool.
I guess Castro. We could just talk about his branch idea. Basically, it was an idea of basically being independent from everyone else. Because more or less, we're trying to not.
That is incredibly ironic because they were incredibly dependent on the USSR.
Yeah, they kind of did that immediately afterwards because they were like, "Oh crap, we can't do that."
Oh wait, we can't just be independent because we are an island nation and need to trade with people.
This has been the worst trade deal in the history of trade deals, maybe ever. But yeah, that was that whole thing. There's a few other branches of communism. I guess I mentioned those two, just the Islamic and the freaking Christian one. There are more, such as Tito had his own, where basically he would be capital. Like almost similar to China did. Basically, we're gonna be capitalist now. We could look to be communist later.
Yeah, it seems to be moving from communism through time, and now it's kind of like, yeah, we'll be capitalists, and then we'll be communists.
Well, as soon as everyone else is on board.
Because nobody seems to figure out how to deal with communism.
There's more. Even Albania, the leader of Albania has his own branch of communism, but I just don't need to talk about it, because there's still other things that need to talk about. We're at 24 minutes.
Okay.
If you care about that much more, there's plenty of things to research.
No, I'm good, man. Just keep
But,
going.
yeah, basically communism, every country that's tried it, well, can I take it back? Every country is either going to do one of two things. A, collapse, or B, resorted to basically a capitalist system.
We're
that's
still
true.
communist, but we're not really communist, but we're calling it communism because we feel like it.
Because we said it was communism in the first place.
First of all, first things to cover. I'll take it back. There is one other branch of communism I talked about. Anarcho-communism.
Anarchy.
What's that? Just no state?
Yeah, basically no state.
Isn't that the final form of communism?
Basically.
And nothing has ever reached that.
Nope.
No, basically people think, what if we can do communism, but we don't have anyone to enforce it? Screw you guys, I'm keeping all myself.
Yeah.
Dude, you're not supposed to do that, bro.
No, you're not supposed to just
Come
keep all your
on,
stuff.
man.
Nope, I like my video games.
Peace.
And I like my food.
World peace.
World peace, man.
Yeah, basically
No.
that's kind of that branch of communism. They do their things.
Yeah, they just do whatever.
So basically,
Deny.
the best way I can put this is a lot of people end up just changing Marxist theory, and no one's actually full out is trying it, because every time they did full on try it, it led to a lot of economic issues.
It fails
Because it
spectacularly.
It fails
fireworks
hard.
It makes your economy uncompetitive and lacking
And
in
then you set the
resources.
cornfield on fire.
Exactly.
And then you try making peasants make steel in their backyards.
Oh, that works every time.
But yeah, there's a big principle is collectivization, and basically the control of the state to under socialism and eventually be dissolved with this utopia. Unfortunately, we've never seen this utopia reach, and at this moment, I'm not seeing it. It doesn't look really like we're gonna reach it anytime soon.
I mean,
Yeah, it's like that one time when we were shooting off fireworks in the cornfield and it caught on fire.
yeah, it's not good.
No, it's not. It looks really pretty until everything starts catching on fire.
Yeah, no, that's no good.
No, it's not.
Because one thing about which we're all talking about
I think
next
we put it
next
out,
video, I
though,
believe,
Sure
fascism.
hope so.
Yeah.
But it's communism tends to be more idealistic than realistic in a sense, but they tend to focus more on this idea than a reality.
Yep.
Well,
It's interesting.
yeah, that makes sense.
And then one other thing to mention is that technically Karl Marx's works are incomplete. He never actually fully got to complete everything. He kind of died
I mean, it's so
gotta die.
inconsiderate.
before addressing everything.
That's
Gosh.
pretty
The
interesting.
last
good for
important
stuff.
step of communism is
Dead.
Nice.
dead. Basically, yeah.
How unfortunate.
Yeah, basically, communism also saw the idea of religion as basically just more bourgeoisie propaganda.
I mean, it kind of was, sort of.
Church is complicated. We're not going to talk about medieval churches. Not yet. Maybe eventually.
Yeah, eventually, we will.
We'll get to basically as much history as we can.
As soon as the robot overlords take over, then we'll be able to talk about whatever we want, because they don't care.
They don't care, no.
Because they're robots.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sport.
Unless they're not robots anymore.
I am for.
Take it
I
from
for.
mine.
Hey, James. Guess what?
Yes, but then they care.
Yeah, then they care.
Hey, James. Guess what?
No.
I am for one a big fan of our new robot overlords.
Sounds good to
Don't
me.
send the
I am
jokes, please.
currently plugging our history of history of memes part 1 question mark.
Part
Yeah.
one question mark video.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got keyboard cat out in here.
Okay. We still have a few minutes. We still have like 2 minutes to talk. So we kind of rush through communism a bit because it's just for the sake of it. So one thing to note is that communism technically doesn't have to be totalitarian, but it almost has been every attempt, because it's kind of hard to get people to agree to not give you the means of production.
Yeah.
Willingly. Not many people are willing to just give you the means of production.
Yeah.
most-
Hey, yo,
honestly.
fam, you want to give me the means of production?
No.
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 No thanks.
I'm going to keep my farms.
I'm going to go that way now.
No.
Yeah, you're not
Wait.
supposed. Karl Marx basically felt like the idea basically was communism could never happen until a violent overthrow happened.
Great.
So fun with the encouragement there.
That's excellent.
So we got a minute left. What do you think you'd like to say, James? Dude.
Communism is a mess. We're having some fun.
I mean, if one of the guys, if anyone in the comment section would like to actually tell us how communism could work, go ahead.
I prefer I prefer capitalism and democracy.
Personally, I do
because then
too.
I get to keep my food.
I get to keep my food. I get my bread.
Yeah.
I
get to eat
I just
it,
realized how many communist jokes I have to put in this video.
Oh yeah, that'd be
Memes,
great.
this would be
Yeah.
great.
Just start bashing.
Editing.
Hippity hoppity, abolish private property.
Yeah, that's another big thing I have to mention. Basically, the idea of iron ownership is basically the bourgeois could just oppress the proletariat even more by owning land that they now privately own, and the proletariat can access. To be fair, back in the day in Karl Marx, the proletariat really couldn't own land all that well.
That's true.
So basically, the idea was only the rich could actually afford land. So screw your land.
That's kind of how the land worked. Only the rich people
So-
could afford it.
So in conclusion, communism is a mess and it sets cornfields on fire.
Ah, dang, my
Good day.
cornfields.
Yep.
Yep.
We're gonna sell the grain.
Unfortunately, I like corn.
You
so.
don't get food.
No.
Look at all this grain we can't store.
Oh,
Okay.
right.
Unfortunately, we just passed the 30-minute mark and not two,
Yep.
a few
Yeah,
seconds
right.
ago.
Let's do an intro. Let's do an outro.
Okay, guys, thanks for watching. If you actually have time or care, there's other episodes. Believe it
There
or not.
are
They're nice. I'd recommend medieval
weapons.
weaponry.
Yeah,
That's a
that
good
was
one.
Part
a good
2
one.
first, right?
Of course. No.
You're just trying to get more people to watch you.
No.
God dang it.
What are
Yeah,
you
okay.
talking about?
Recommend
Anything else
videos
you-
he's in.
Anything else you guys want to say, James?
Nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm cool just ending it.
And if you want to hear about some more extreme ideology, we always have fascism up next.
Oh, yes.
See ya.